What happens when one of the NFL's biggest stars completely loses his cool on live television? Tonight we're diving into the explosive confrontation that left audiences stunned and social media erupting. This isn't your typical late-night interview gone wrong. This is a full-blown war of words that escalates so fast it'll leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about these two personalities. Make sure to subscribe and drop a comment below, because what unfolds here is absolutely wild. The Tonight Show studio was buzzing with its usual energy as Jimmy Fallon settled into his chair across from Travis Kelce. The NFL superstar had been making the rounds, promoting his latest ventures, and everything seemed routine until Jimmy decided to dig a little deeper than expected. So Travis, let's talk about your recent comments regarding player safety in the NFL. Jimmy began, his signature smile firmly in place. You've been pretty vocal about the league's new concussion protocols, and some people are saying you're being a bit dramatic about the whole thing. Travis shifted in his chair, his expression immediately changing. Dramatic? Jimmy, are you serious right now? We're talking about guys' brains here, their ability to remember their kids' names when they're 50. How is that dramatic? Well, I mean, Jimmy chuckled nervously. Football has always been a contact sport. Players know what they're signing up for, right? The big contracts, the fame. Surely that comes with some risk. The studio audience sensed the shift in energy as Travis leaned forward. You know what, Jimmy, that's exactly the problem. People like you sitting in your comfortable chairs making jokes about things you don't understand. Have you ever had your bell rung so hard you forgot where you were? Jimmy's smile faltered slightly. Look, Travis, I'm not trying to minimize anything. I'm just saying that maybe some of your recent statements have been a bit over the top. I mean, calling the NFL prehistoric in their thinking. That seems harsh. Harsh? Travis's voice rose noticeably. You want to know what's harsh? Watching former teammates struggle to form complete sentences because they played through too many hits. But sure, let's talk about my word choice instead. Of the actual issue, the tension was becoming palpable as Jimmy tried to regain control of the interview. Okay, let's take a step back here. I think we're getting a little heated over what should be a fun conversation. How about we talk about your personal life instead? The fans love hearing about that. Travis stared at Jimmy for a long moment. Fun conversation. We just went from discussing player safety to you basically calling me a liar, and now you want to pivot to gossip. What kind of interview is this? I never called you a liar, Jimmy protested, his composure starting to crack. I just think maybe you're being a little too sensitive about criticism. Not everyone has to agree with everything you say, even if you are Travis Kelce. The audience was dead silent now, sensing this was no longer the lighthearted entertainment. They came for Travis, stood up slightly in his chair. Sensitive. Let me tell you something about sensitive. Jimmy, what's sensitive is having to explain to your mom why you can't remember conversations from last week because you've taken too many hits. But hey, you're right, let's keep it fun and light. Jimmy realized he was losing control of the situation entirely. Travis, come on, we're both professionals here. Can't we just have a normal conversation without turning everything into a crusade? A crusade? Travis shot back. Is that what you call caring about people's health? A crusade? You know what your problem is, Jimmy. You think everything is a joke. Everything is content for your show. Some things actually matter. The host tried desperately to steer things back on track. Look, I respect your passion. I really do. But maybe we could discuss this without getting so worked up. The audience came here to be entertained. Travis looked out at the silent crowd, then back at Jimmy. Entertained? Right. Well, here's some entertainment for you. How about we talk about how talk show hosts like you perpetuate the exact attitudes that keep players getting hurt? How about that for entertainment? Jimmy's face flushed as he tried to process what Travis had just accused him of. Wait, hold on. You're saying I'm responsible for players getting hurt? That's completely ridiculous. Travis, I'm a comedian, not a team doctor. You're missing the point entirely. Travis fired back, his voice growing more intense. Every time someone like you makes light of these issues, every time you brush off legitimate concerns as players being dramatic or oversensitive, you're part of the problem. You have a platform, Jimmy, and you're using it to mock the very real struggles guys are going through. Jimmy's defensive walls were going up fast. I wasn't mocking anything. I was asking legitimate questions that a lot of people are thinking. Maybe if you weren't so quick to get offended, we could actually have a productive conversation about this. Offended? Travis laughed, but there was no humor in it. You think this is about being offended? This is about you sitting there in your safe little bubble, cracking jokes about something that's literally destroying people's lives. How many former players do you personally know, Jimmy? How many have you watched struggle with memory loss, depression, chronic pain? The studio was so quiet you could hear the cameras worry. Jimmy knew he was in deep water, but couldn't find his way out. Look, I'm not trying to be insensitive here. I'm just saying that professional athletes make millions of dollars to play a game they love. There has to be some acknowledgement that risk comes with the territory. Travis slammed his hand on the armrest of his chair. There it is again. A game. You just called it a game. Tell me, Jimmy, when was the last time a game left someone with permanent brain damage? When was the last time a game ruined someone's marriage because they couldn't control their emotions anymore due to head trauma? Jimmy was visibly uncomfortable now, his usual charm completely abandoned. Okay, maybe game wasn't the right word, but you have to admit that players know what they're getting into when they sign those contracts. Do they though? Travis challenged. Do 18-year-old kids really understand what chronic traumatic encephalopathy means? Do they understand what it's like to wake up at 35 and not remember having breakfast? The NFL has spent decades hiding this information, and people like you help them do it by dismissing anyone who speaks up as being dramatic. Jimmy tried a different approach, his voice taking on a patronizing tone. Travis, I think you're being a little paranoid here. The NFL has made huge improvements in player safety. They've got all kinds of new rules and protocols. Paranoid? Travis's voice was incredulous. Did you just call me paranoid for caring about brain injuries? That's exactly what I'm talking about. Instead of listening to what I'm actually saying, you're trying to discredit me by calling me paranoid and dramatic. It's textbook deflection. The host was scrambling now. That's not what I meant, and you know it. I'm just trying to provide some balance to this conversation. Not everything has to be doom and gloom. Balance. Travis stood up from his chair completely now, towering over the desk. You want balance? Here's some balance for you. While you're sitting here worried about keeping things light and fun, there are guys my age who can't tie their shoes without help because their hands shake so bad from the hits they took. But sure, let's keep it balanced. Jimmy's face was red now, his frustration boiling over. You know what, Travis? Maybe you should consider that not everyone has to share your perspective on everything. Maybe some people think you're grandstanding for attention. The words hung in the air like a bomb that had just gone off. The audience audibly gasped. Travis stared at Jimmy for several long seconds, his jaw clenched tight. Grandstanding for attention, Travis repeated slowly. So now I'm not just dramatic and paranoid, I'm also an attention seeker. Is that your professional opinion, Dr. Fallon? Jimmy realized he'd gone too far, but couldn't back down now. I'm just saying that maybe your recent activism isn't entirely pure. Maybe there's some self-promotion involved. Travis took a step toward the desk. Self-promotion. You think I'm talking about brain injuries for self-promotion? Jimmy, I'm already one of the most recognizable players in the league. I don't need to make up causes for attention. But apparently, in your world, caring about something means you must have ulterior motives. The studio felt like a pressure cooker about to explode. Jimmy, realizing he'd pushed too far, tried to salvage the situation. Look, maybe I phrased that wrong. I didn't mean to question your motives entirely. No, Travis cut him off, his voice dangerous now. Don't you dare try to walk that back. You just questioned my integrity on national television. You just told millions of people that my concern for player safety is some kind of publicity stunt. Own what you said, Jimmy. Jimmy's hands were shaking slightly as he reached for his water glass. Travis, please, let's just take a breath here. We're both getting carried away. Getting carried away. Travis's laugh was bitter. I'm getting carried away by caring about people's health and safety. You're the one who turned this into a character assassination. Tell me, Jimmy, what exactly do you think I gain by talking about brain injuries? What's my angle here? Jimmy set his glass down too hard, water sloshing onto his desk. I don't know, maybe you're trying to position yourself as some kind of activist hero. Maybe you're thinking about life after football and want to build a brand around being the guy who speaks truth to power. The accusation hit the studio like lightning. Even the camera operators looked shocked. Travis was completely still for a moment, processing what he'd just heard. A brand, Travis said quietly, his voice now eerily calm. You think I'm building a brand around other people's suffering. You think I'm using brain damage as a marketing strategy. Jimmy sensed the shift in Travis's demeanor, and it terrified him more than the yelling had. That's not exactly what I said. That's exactly what you said, Travis replied, his voice still unnaturally controlled. You just accused me of exploiting neurological disorders for personal gain. Do you understand what you just did, Jimmy? The host was sweating now, completely out of his depth. I think we're both saying things we don't mean. Maybe we should just move on to a different topic. Travis tilted his head slightly. Move on? You think we can just move on from you accusing me of profiting off brain injuries? You think this is just going to blow over like some silly misunderstanding? Jimmy's voice cracked slightly. I'm trying to de-escalate this situation, Travis. We're both professionals here. Professionals, Travis repeated. Right, well here's some professional advice for you. Jimmy, before you accuse someone of exploiting a cause, maybe you should do your homework. Maybe you should know that I've donated over $2 million of my own money to brain injury research. Maybe you should know that I do this work quietly, without press releases or photo ops. Jimmy's face went pale. I didn't know about the donations. Of course you didn't, Travis continued, his calm tone somehow more intimidating than his earlier anger. Because you didn't bother to research anything before you decided to attack my character, you just assumed that anyone speaking up about important issues must be doing it for selfish reasons. Jimmy tried desperately to regain control. Travis, I apologize if I misunderstood your motivations. Can we please just try to have a civil conversation? Travis stared at him for a long moment. Civil conversation? You mean like the civil conversation where you called me dramatic, paranoid, attention-seeking, and now essentially a fraud? That kind of civil conversation. The audience was completely silent, watching this train wreck unfold in real time. Jimmy wiped sweat from his forehead. I never called you a fraud. You implied it, Travis shot back, his controlled demeanor starting to crack again. You sat there and suggested that my advocacy work is really just self-promotion. That's calling someone a fraud without using the word. Jimmy's desperation was showing now. Look, maybe I was wrong about some things. Maybe I didn't approach this the right way. Can't we just agree to disagree and move forward? Travis let out a short, harsh laugh. Agree to disagree. About what, Jimmy? About whether brain injuries are serious. About whether I'm a decent human. Being what exactly are we agreeing to disagree about? The host was grasping at straws. About the severity of the NFL's responsibility. About how much players know going in. About the effectiveness of current safety measures. Those aren't matters of opinion, Travis said firmly. Those are facts. Medical facts, scientific facts, documented facts. You can't just disagree with medical research because it's inconvenient for your narrative. Jimmy made one last desperate attempt to salvage his dignity. I think you're being unreasonable now, Travis. I'm trying to apologize and you won't even accept it. Travis stepped back from the desk, his decision clearly made. Unreasonable. You spend half an hour attacking everything I stand for, questioning my integrity, and making light of serious medical issues. And I'm unreasonable for not accepting your half-hearted apology. Jimmy's voice became pleading now, his professional facade completely shattered. Travis, please, I'm genuinely trying to make this right. I clearly misspoke about several things. Travis shook his head slowly. Misspoke? Jimmy, you didn't misspeak. You revealed exactly what you think about players who dare to speak up about issues that matter. You showed everyone exactly who you are. When someone challenges your comfortable worldview, the host was visibly panicking now. That's not fair. You're putting words in my mouth. I never said I don't care about player safety. You didn't have to say it, Travis replied coldly. Your actions said it for you. The moment I brought up something serious, you tried to minimize it, mock it, and then question my motives for caring about it. That tells me everything I need to know about your priorities. Jimmy's voice cracked with desperation. I'm asking you to give me a chance to clarify my position. Isn't that fair? Travis looked around the studio, at the silent audience, at the camera operators who had stopped pretending they weren't riveted by this disaster. Fair? You want to talk about fair? Is it fair that guys are suffering in silence because people like you make them afraid to speak up? Is it fair that every time someone tries to address real problems, they get labeled as troublemakers? The silence stretched on as Jimmy struggled to find words. Finally, he managed, I understand you're passionate about this issue. Passionate, Travis repeated, his voice dripping with disdain. There's that word again. Like passion is somehow a character flaw, like caring deeply about something makes you less credible, not more. Jimmy tried one more time. Travis, we've got millions of people watching this. Can't we show them that two adults can work through a disagreement? Travis stared at him for a long moment, then looked directly into the camera. You want to show them something? Let me show them what it looks like when someone refuses to enable ignorance and dismissiveness. Let me show them what it looks like to have standards. Jimmy's face went white. What are you doing? Travis began unhooking his microphone. I'm doing what I should have done 20 minutes ago. I'm refusing to participate in this charade where serious issues get turned into entertainment and people's suffering becomes a punchline. The host jumped up from his chair. Travis, wait, you can't just leave, we're live. Travis dropped his microphone on the chair. Watch me. Jimmy's voice was nearly shouting now. This is completely unprofessional. You're ruining the show. Travis turned back to face him one last time. Unprofessional. You want to talk about unprofessional? Unprofessional is ambushing a guest with personal attacks when they come on your show in good faith. Unprofessional is making jokes about brain injuries. Unprofessional is questioning someone's integrity without bothering to learn the facts first. The studio was dead silent except for the sound of Travis's footsteps as he walked toward the exit. Jimmy called after him desperately. Travis, come on, don't do this. We can work this out. Travis paused at the edge of the stage without turning around. Jimmy, here's some free advice. Next time you want to discuss player safety, try talking to some former players first. Try learning about the issue before you decide to mock it. Try being a journalist instead of just an entertainer. Jimmy was practically pleading now. Please, just come back and sit down. We can start over. Travis finally turned around one last time, his voice carrying clearly across the silent studio. Start over. Some things you don't get to start over, Jimmy. Some things have consequences. Tonight, you showed everyone who you really are when the cameras are rolling and someone challenges you. You showed them that when faced with real issues, you choose mockery over understanding, dismissiveness over empathy. With that, Travis walked off the stage, leaving Jimmy standing alone at his desk. The audience in stunned silence, and millions of viewers at home witnessing one of the most explosive television moments in recent memory. Jimmy stood there for several more seconds, looking lost and completely out of his depth. Finally, he turned to the camera with a forced smile that fooled no one. Well folks, I guess we'll be right back after these messages. But everyone knew there was no coming back from what had just happened. The damage was done, the lines were drawn, and Travis Kelce had just delivered one of the most powerful exits in television history. What do you think about how Travis handled Jimmy's attacks? Was he right to walk off, or should he have stayed to work things out? Subscribe for more incredible stories like this one, and drop your thoughts in the comments below.